Howdy. Hope y'all doing good today. Looking at something right now that kind of been on the list for a while, and what it is, one of the local fire departments got a hold of me. They got a fire truck. They wanted a winch put on the front of it, and they thought a 20,000-pound winch would work. So I shopped for them and found a 20,000-pound winch and ordered it. We ordered it through Tractor Supply, but it wasn't a stock item. It was something that you have to order. They would ship it to your local Tractor Supply store and you go pick it up. Well, it was set for delivery on December 27th whenever I ordered it. Then the delivery date got changed to January 3rd, then January 7th, then January 10th, then January 12th. And finally, it came in, and I went up Tractor Supply and got it. So what's going on with the job so far, and as far as I could go without this, and one thing about this, there was information available online that showed the dimensions of this winch, that told me its basic size, length, width, and height. So that's about how far I got on the fabrication. And I felt like that's pretty much as far as I wanted to go until I had that winch in hand. Now, there was some other work done on this job, because on the very first day when I went up, obviously I've measured the truck, and if you see from what I got made so far, I got some holes drilled in the bracketry that match some holes that are in the front of the frame of that truck. And on that first day, I met the fire chief up there, and him and I got into it a little bit, looking at what we needed to do, and started on the work. And he had a basic idea when he first got a hold of me, and his basic idea that he had is this truck, when he got it, it had tow hooks on the front of it. So there was one of these bolted inside of the frame on the front, on each side. There was one of these on each side. We removed two of them, and we measured the bolt holes that the tow hook went on. And I think it's a safe assumption to say that, you know, if those 4 bolts would hold that tow hook on that truck, then those 8 bolts undoubtedly be strong enough to work for that winch. So the day we went up, the day I met the fire chief up there, we measured that whole pattern, and I made a little drawing of what I thought I needed to build to make the winch mount for this thing. And another thing that we did when we were there, I had to mark and cut part of the bumper. There was a little bit of bumper in the way. Had to open that up a little for my bracketry. But at this point, now that this is here, let's take this bad boy out of the box and see what she looks like. What we got here is a samurai warrior. I think she looks pretty good. All right. That's cool. Okay. Well, all righty then. Let's do some measuring on some bolt holage. Well, alrighty then, and what's a hoozy doozy? We got center punch marks on there for where those bolts go into that winch, obviously. Got the kit laid out over here. I'm pretty happy with the kit so far and what's included. You can see the roller fair lead right there. There's your wired remote, wireless remote. This is an on-off switch that you would put into the positive cable, and you would want this where you can access it if something went haywire and that thing was winching in and the remote was failing or something. You know, this would give you the ability to turn that thing off and pull the key out. Came with an extra key. This is what goes in there, and when you turn it completely off, that thing will come out. So if you wanted to turn this off and pull that out, you could pretty easily make it so that people couldn't run your winch or mess with it. Obviously come with a hook. Don't need that right now. The bolts, I did some measuring on the bolts. For the 8 bolts that go into the winch, looks like we probably want 1/2 inch holes. There's 2 bolts that go into the roller fair lead, and it looks like we'd want 7/16 inch holes for that. So we're done with that gizmo. And the next thing here, you know, I'm looking at how we want that roller fair lead. You would probably want the center of that where the cable comes out to be, you know, right about here. And it looks like it would work out. You know, I'm not pushing it right where it belongs because, you know, that's in the way right now. But just putting it up here like that, I got a little piece of metal under there that makes it a little bit closer to being the way it's going to be. It looks like the 4-inch flat bar that I used to make these brackets on the side anyway would be good to put right across the front. That flat bar's 3/4 of an inch thick. So, and that's about what we got. I really like it if the front of that winch is pretty tight, pretty much making contact with a flat bar that's going across here. That would help strength-wise. That would help the bolts. If you're really, you know, when you're pulling, this big tough body of this winch would be pretty close to being right up against the bar going across here. So if we were doing that, then we'd have a 4-inch bar going across here, and that looks like that would work out good with this roller fair lead. And it looks like we would have holes drilled, you know, with the 2 holes we got to drill right at 2 inches. So mark and drill a couple of 7/16 holes in the plate to go across there. I'll cut that to length and we'll get that going. And the other parts we got here, these are the hooks I talked about earlier that we took off of the Firetruck. And the chief was wondering, the fire chief was wondering if we could do anything with them where maybe he could still use them. And he suggested welding them onto the bottom of that plate, onto the bottom of the winch mount. And I don't see any reason why that would be a problem. I guess in some cases you might have concern with things that hang down on a assembly on the front of a truck. But this truck, you know, where the bumper's at is really up high, and those don't stick down enough that would be any issue. The only thing I'm thinking right now, it looks like this stuff was maybe originally painted lime green, and it's been painted black over top of that, and there's quite a bit of flaky paint on it. And what I'm going to do while I'm working on making that other part and doing some drilling and stuff here, I'm going to throw these bolts and those hooks in my cement mixer full of nails and let them tumble and see maybe if we can knock off some of this built up paint on here. So let's get that going. So this is my cement mixer full of framing nails. It's got a little bit of EPDM, scrap EPDM roofing rubber set over the hole with a bucket cap, a plastic bucket cap, and there's a couple eyelets on here that I fasten a ratchet strap to. Keep stuff from falling out of it. You can see it's got some beat and bang and a little worse for wear of metal flopping around in it, but the thing does a good job cleaning up stuff without me doing a heck of a lot. I can leave it tumbling in this thing and go do something else. So I'll show you here directly what it looks like inside. Just a bunch of nails in there and maybe a few miscellaneous pieces of metal. I'm going to toss them hooks and bolts in there. The reason for the rubber is it's really dusty, and it still, with the rubber and the plastic cap on there, it still leaks a lot of dust, and that's why I like to drag it out here in the gravel and run it. It's loud, very noisy, and so that's another good reason to have it outside. So I'm going to put the cap on it and we'll get it rolling. Told you it was loud. Got a piece of flat bar cut over there that'll go across the front of my winch bracket. I don't need to really make a pattern for it. I know I'm going to go 2 inches from the edge. I just need to know the center to center on these holes. Now, a lot of times for something like this, you see the red marks on this tape measure. That kind of gives me a way between 1 and 12 to just use it like a 12-inch ruler. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever. And if I'm looking at the center to center on these holes, I want to mention I'm putting that 1 foot mark on the left side of that hole. And I'm measuring to the left side of this hole. And anytime you have two things that you want to know the center to center dimension of, if those two things are the same diameter, you don't have to try to guess where the center of it is. If those two holes are the same diameter, and I measure from the left edge of that hole to the left edge of that hole, that's giving me my exact center to center. It wouldn't matter if it was the right side. Just for another example, if you look at this table, the legs of that table are 3-inch channel. That's 3-inch channel, that's 3-inch channel. If I wanted to know what the center to center of this 3-inch channel is, I don't have to come over here and take my tape measure and guess, well, am I in the center? Should I measure 1.5 inches from the edge? You don't have to do that. Hook your tape measure right there on that right-hand side. Come over here and measure to the right-hand side. The center to center of these pieces of channel is 50 3/4 of an inch. I'm measuring from the right side of that one to the right side of this one, and they are both the same width. So that's the same as center to center. Just a lot easier and quicker, and you're going to get a more accurate measurement that way. So let's mark the holes in our flat bar there, and we'll get to drilling. She's a princess, you know what I mean. And she do her little turn on the catwalk scene. On the catwalk. On the catwalk. Yeah, she do her little turns on the catwalk. Da 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 da.